Right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you might be on the globe. My name is Ryan Burley, and I'll be introducing GeoSolutions and our webinar today, MapStore 2024 series and beyond. I'll do a quick introduction of GeoSolutions before I pass it off to Tobia and Stefano. Tobia is our technical lead for MapStore, and Stefano is our MapStore and 3D lead. For those of you not familiar with GeoSolutions, we've been in the business for 18 years, specifically focused on open source products of GeoServer, GeoNode, and MapStore. We are the core code developers for GeoServer, GeoNode, and MapStore, and also involved in the development of plugins and fundamental technology such as GeoTools, Stack, etc. Our services include enterprise support services or commercial support for those open source products. We do subscription deployments, professional training, and custom development based on those open source products as well. As you can see, we have a wide expanse of customers in different industry verticals, including Earth observation, all levels of government. You see NOAA listed there, which is big right now given the current flooding and hurricane in Southeast US. You see local government with New York City. There's oil and gas, telecom, emergency management, transportation, engineering, you name it. And the main point here is that because we have worked in so many different verticals with so many different partners, we see a wide range of environments, setups, databases, existing technologies, etc. As engineers, we can work to customize solutions that work within, whatever application or technology stack that you're in. So we've seen a lot of things, and we can dynamically solve a lot of different spatio-temporal problems, leveraging open source and integrating with existing technology stacks. Again, you see kind of a list of industries that we work in. And again, whatever your industry might be, if you're using open source products, we're always interested in hearing how you're using GeoServer or MapStore and where we can help you out. In terms of industry associations, we're obviously highly involved with open source geo. We just had the FOSS4G North America conference in St. Louis a couple weeks ago. OGC, we participate in a lot of the test beds. We're also a member of United States Geospatial Intelligence Forum or Foundation. We go to the GeoInt conference every year, and we are certified Cesium developers, which I'm sure Toby and Stefano will be mentioning throughout the presentation, and we're also members of the World Geospatial Industry Council. For additional resources, I do want to mention this is part of a webinar series, right? So we have years worth of existing recordings from previous webinars, not only on MapStore, but on GeoNode, GeoServer, some webinars that we featured customer stories or case studies, such as Sea Island Software, Cleveland Metro Parks, etc. All of those are available on our YouTube channel. You can also follow the GeoSolutions blog. And if you have any questions, you can contact us directly. I put my email address there as well. I do want to mention for this webinar, use the Q&A tab at the bottom, or you should be able to see a Q&A tab on your client, on your Zoom client, and we're usually very thorough about answering questions towards the end of that, towards the end of the presentation. So with that, I will pass it off to Tobia and Stefano, and thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm going to share the screen. Let me know if you see it.
We can see.
Okay, thank you so much. So, okay, during this webinar, we will talk about the MapStore 2024-01 series, for which we have delivered many new features and enhancements. So in particular, we will see we will cover three main arguments, basically what's new in MapStore 2024-01 series, of course, And what is ready for MapStore 2024-02 that we are going to release during next days, and what's planned for 2025-01, so the first measure release for expected for the first quarter of the next year.
Tobia, before
So,
you proceed, could you
yeah.
go full screen so it's more visible? If you can go full screen.
I'm already full screen. Just a second. Okay, should be
Now
good
it's
now.
can. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will see together the new main entries, of course. Of course, as you can imagine, I mean, there are many updates and announcements we have provided for the whole MapStore functionalities we are offering usually. So you can find of course, as usual, you can find the complete list of new features and announcements we have provided within this series in GitHub, where there is a dedicated release page for this, where you can, see and consult all the release notes related to this series, for which 2 minor versions have been already released during this year, and we are going to release the new one. So the next measure one, I mean. So let's get started. So effectively, we are really excited to release a very powerful and interesting update in 2024-01, on which we have worked during the last months, which involves the MapStore table of content. We have been waiting for this for a long time, and it finally landed on the 2024-01. So special thanks goes to the municipality of Genova for this, who contributed effectively to this implementation. So as you can see from this slide, a complete talk skin has been provided. Many functionalities have been added, and in particular, we have included a completely reviewed user interface and user experience. Within that tool, by refactoring the whole aspects that are involving the usability and the organization of items within the table of content. So we have enhanced basically the way groups and layers are organized in the talk, as well as notifications are provided by to the users. For example, for layers that are not active in the map at a certain moment, of course, as you can also see from this screen. And generally speaking, we have also provided a more compact version of the table of content, and this is basically what we think can make the tool more usable in general for managing layers and groups. So there are many options available, of course, for the table of content, and one of them is the ability to have a simplified version of the table of content itself, where only certain information are provided, are visualized. So, for example, as you can see, in the simplified mode, what we call the legend mode, okay, we have the minimum set of functions available. So for example, there is no opacity slider available, as well as the possibility ability to drag and drop elements within the talk, so all groups and layers are fixed, okay? But you are always able to hide and show layers, groups, and to expand items in order to see and consult the layer legends, okay? One of the special addition we included for this tool is the contextual menus. Okay, so contextual menus are providing basically different contents and different options depending on I mean where they are applied, or I mean yes, they are referring to. So for example, groups and layers have different contents, of course. So there is always the possibility, for example, for groups, as you can see from the slide, to hide and show child nodes, to make layers within a group mutually exclusive. So this is a really interesting function that allows you to effectively to have only one layer within the group visible at time. And as well as other option, of course, with the aim to, I mean, make the usage of TOC functionality well focused on the elements they are applied to. Okay, so for example, the contextual menu you can open for layers as usually different kind of options available. Okay, and this is a result. This is basically resulting on a really enhanced usability. In the table of content, there is also a general menu that the user can open from the toolbar on top, which is providing general functions that can be, I mean, related to the whole talk, to the whole TOC. Okay, so for example, it is possible to set it to be open at startup. Okay, when you open a viewer the first time, the TOC open accordingly, and so you can, for example, have all legends available, and you can ensure this way that users can always see the table of content as soon as they open the viewer. You can manage other options like the switch to the other visualization theme, the legend one we have seen before, and of course you can, I mean, manage other kind of options like managing how layers and groups titles are rendered. I mean, if they should be truncated or if the whole title should be visualized, you can open you can manage the opacity slider, visualization, and so on. So the 2024 version brings also a complete reskin of the of the annotation tools, where the
you lost the condivision of the screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a second. Let me restore it. I don't know why. Thank you so much. So the 2024-01 version brings also a complete reskin of the annotation tools, or the annotation tool, where the user experience have been completely reviewed and the UI reorganized to make the annotations more powerful and usable in general. Okay, so as part of this big work, also the support for the 3D mode has been completely reviewed. and also enhanced to allow annotations editing also in a 3D map. Okay. So for this, special thanks to the municipality of Florence who contributed for this work. Generally speaking, we have introduced we have enriched, styling capabilities with many new options for the 3D tool. And we are ensuring with this new version of the annotation tool a better UI UX in general. So, for example, what you are seeing here, is the annotation tool opened, where you can manage, as you can see, all different kind of annotations you can create. You have a full control of the coordinate editing. You can interact with the map. Of course, the same functions are available for both 2D and 3D. And of course, we have, some of them are available, are mainly dedicated to the 3D mode, on which on the coordinate editing, you can manage the 8th together with the latitude and longitude, and you have a completely full control of drag and drop of coordinate in order to move and manage vertex of your geometries. Okay, as you can see, the geometry types you can manage are always the same. So of previous version, so there is a circle, polygon, point, text, line, strings, but in this version you have the ability to, we have an improved tier to manage the styling options. Okay, so what we have provided in previous version for, the enhancements we have provided for previous versions on the visual style editor for WMS layers have been included by refactoring also the logic involved here for the annotation tool, as well as on the other all the other components in the whole application that are using the that are styling needs. Okay, so in the styling section of the annotation tool, as soon as you select an annotation, you have, depending on the ability to manage the styling through an advanced style editor. Okay, where many new options have been provided, especially for the 3D mode, where, as you can see from the slide, you have options like bring to front in order to make the feature always visible. Also, if there are kind of obstacle in the 3D that usually prevent the visualization from appearing as expected. Other options to manage the 8th of features, the 8th reference from ground, and depending on the geometry type, also special options for ensuring a really good visualization of feature in 3D mode. So, for example, for points, there is the leader line. For polygons, there is the extrusion properties. Okay, so that you can manage the extrusion of your features and and make it relative to the geometry. You can decide to which value of extrusion should be applied to the style, and in certain cases you can also, as we will see later, you can also basically interact with clamp to ground and clamp to ground reference options. Okay, especially if you have a terrain in your map, and you are managing and you are visualizing 3D tiles in your 3D map. So let's jump to another interesting addition. For sure, the 2024-01 series provides many enhancements and improvements on a wide range of functionalities and new features. This is a result of an expensive work we have done also in Q4 in the last quarter, I mean, of the 2023 for providing, I mean, a quite relevant improvement to chart widgets. So the charts creation wizard has been significantly improved. Also thanks to, I mean, to feedbacks we have received over time from our clients, from MapStore users, and so on. So one of the main concepts introduced here involves the traces, okay? So which are effectively a way we are including in order to manage different kind of charts in one. So a special thanks goes to the municipality of Florence for this implementation that is really powerful and helpful for as a geospatial functionality in a MapStore viewer. The same functionalities we are seeing here, the same functionality we are presenting here are available for both dashboards and map viewers, of course, okay? So the traces configuration, as soon as you open, let's make it clear, as soon as you create a new chart, of course, you have to, I mean, start from the TOC if you are in a map viewer, or you have to create new widgets directly if you are in the dashboard. But in any case, the charts creation start from using a base layer, okay, that need to be selected. And as soon as you have, I mean, when you approach the creation of a widgets, of a charts widgets, of course, the first step is to define I mean, configure a trace, okay? So for sure, as soon as you have selected the layer, you can choose the chart type you want as in the trace configuration configurator, okay? So the usual charts type are supported, of course. So you can select the bar chart, pie chart, or line chart. And of course, through this function, you can effectively have the ability to add more traces in the same chart. So this means that you can configure a chart for different layers, okay, or for the same layer in a single chart widget. So just to summarize, all the steps can be followed for the configuration of a chart. You can select the chart type, of course. Then you can basically have a control for selecting the trace from the ones you have configured for the chart. Okay, so for example, here in this example, we are configuring, I mean, two different traces on the same data set. That is the usual states layer. Okay, so you can select the chart you want to configure, and then for the selected trace, as usual, you have to configure a filter for the layer if you want, a spatial filter or an alphanumeric filter on attributes, for example, the usual one, I mean, and the X and Y attributes to be used, as well as the operation that, as usual, can works both with WFS or WPS services available on the backend side. As part of the trace as part of the trace configuration, there is also an enhanced tier for the styling of your trace. So you can classify it. So configure a kind of classification with color ramp method and sort by strategy for your chart. Okay, for your trace in this case. And instead of configuring a really simple and usual style with monocolor, with one color and so on. Okay, of course there are also the other options, as you can see, for managing intervals, for reversing the color ramp and managing the outline colors and so on. So all properties that are involved usually are involved on the styling aspects. Okay. But styling aspects are not only the ones. Of course, there is always the ability to select the traces axis in order to establish which kind of axis you want to use for a specific trace. And this is useful in order to combine some logics. If you have, for example, multiple traces, you want maybe have you want maybe to use a specific, I don't know, x-axis configuration from another traces to the current traces you are configuring at a certain moment. Okay, for example, and in addition to this, you are always free to interact with the formatting options. Okay, so the prefix, format, suffix, and the formula that were previously available also that were available also in previous versions. As part of the chart configuration, as I have already mentioned, there is also the axis configuration. So for each trace you configure, you have a drop down here in order to set up, the aspect, so the styling and the formatting of your axis for both Y and X axis. Okay, so here you have a dedicated control panel, panel in order to decide how to, a wide range control, on your axis, on your charts configuration aspects. Okay, so where to align the labels on your axis, on the left, on the right, play with options in order to, fix them having them in a fixed position or moving a little bit them according to the length of the labels or the aspect you want to achieve, basically. Hide labels, rotate labels, and so on. That's both for X and Y axis, of course. At the end, you are able to manage the whole layout in general. You can choose here if, for example, for bar charts, you can have stacked or grouped representation of your chart. You want to maybe or not display the legend, hide the grid, choose the base color of your labels, and so on. That's basically the final aspects. As you can see here, we have chosen a stacked representation of a bar chart, still representing the in both cases for both traces the US states layer from the base GeoServer installation. And that's basically the result. As you can see, you can have the legend customized. You can have a proper representation of values in the pop-up over the chart, and different alignment of labels for both traces. Of course, the charts are still based on Plotly.js dependency, framework. So Another addition, is involving the measurement tool. Since the new measurement tool was provided with, remember, 2023-01, more or less, I think, series. Many further enhancements have been provided over time for this powerful tool, like the ability to export in GeoJSON format and to convert measurements as DOC layers. With the 2024-01 series, there was room for another enhancement aimed at providing geodesic measurements capabilities, such as the geodesic length calculation, and the geodesic length exports to enrich basically the interoperability with other softwares. Okay, like QGIS, for example, having the exported annotation well represented also in other third-party application. Okay. Of course, this is a special option available for the 3D maps, of course. So as soon as you switch to 2D, certain special measurements of 3D disappear in favor of the other ones for the 2D, of course. 2024-01 also, in 2024-01, also many additional styling capabilities have been added for WFS and vector layers. We have seen, an anticipation, a taste before with annotation. So the same experience have been basically the same functional experience have been also provided for WFS, for styling WFS and vector layers, for which the visual style editor has been enhanced for the purpose of, yes, and made finally available on the whole application, to have the visual style editor available finally for the whole application as a common denominator for styling features. A relevant part of the provided improvements, are involving the 3D, of course, where the support to represent vector features are basically have been further evolved, okay, in 2024-01. For this, a special thanks goes to the both municipality of Florence and Genova, who have basically contributed to various enhancements here and there on this functional support. So where extrusions, possibility to use feature attributes as values for styling properties, classification. So let's see them together quickly, starting from an example coming from the usual states layer, for which you can see here classified style. Okay, so this is a WFS layer, for example, coming from GeoServer, served by GeoServer, and as soon as the layer is loaded in the map, in the MapStore viewer, you can, from layer settings, open the style editor as usual, and you can find here the advanced visual style editor aimed at managing all styling options for the vector layer. For the vector feature, WFS features, and so on. Okay, so there are new options for managing the classifications. So the usual logics previously available for WMS layers have been reproduced, basically have been provided also for WFS layers, in this case, for example. So you can choose the attribute on which to base the classification, the method, the color ramp, and so on. Then there are also properties, as we have seen before for annotation. They are the same basically, depending on the context, but to manage the clamp to ground, the clamp options basically for 3D, the 8, the extrusion, and so on. Of course, options changes depending on the symbolizer you can configure. Of course, that is something I have missed to specify also before for annotation, but that's the same. It is the same for in general for the visual style editor, also for WFS and vector features and vector styling. Sorry. So the ability to define different kind of symbolizers for enriching and making for enriching the visualization and having this completely respecting needs the user want to apply for a specific visualization in the map. Okay, so different kind of symbolizers are available for points. So point symbolizer, marker symbolizer, polygon symbolizer, the usual raster 3D model symbolizer we have included in previous version in order to provide styling capabilities for 3D model symbolizers as external graphic for 4-point features, for example, and the usual text symbolizer, as you can see here in the slide, where also in this case there are specific options for the 3D. Basically the same we have seen before for annotation. So bring to front in order to manage possible obstacle in a 3D environment and make features always visible to ensure they are always visible. Manage the 8. In this case, for 4-point features, there is also the leader line color and the leader line width in order to draw a line to from the terrain. Let's consider it from the terrain, for example, or the cesium spheroid, okay, to the effective label, and of course you can base all of these properties. The most part of the properties offered by every symbolizer, you can base all values on a feature attribute, on a feature attribute, for example. So values coming from a feature attribute. So for example, you can use a feature attribute to colorize basically features depending on it. You can use a feature attribute to to represent the extrusion of the feature of the 8 of the leader line, for example, as it is represented also in this style. 3D enhancements to the 3D mode are not only related anyway to the styling, okay, and also the measurement. In 2024-01, also the let's say the support to a new layer type landed on MapStore effectively. So the support of the support for IFC 3D models. Okay, so 3D models are available. From the catalog tool. This function is totally manageable from the catalog tool as usual. Okay, as it is also for other layer types, okay? So WMS, WFS, you can configure your catalog source for this purpose in order to load IFC models in a MapStore map, okay? So you can open the catalog tool, you can provide the URL of your IFC model reachable online to load it on MapStore. As you can see here, there is a quite advanced visualization where an IFC model is visible on a 3D map where there is a 3D where there is a 3D tile mesh clipped to make it visible as it is a model partially underground. Okay, this is coming from the municipality of Genova, and a special thanks, of course, for this implementation goes to the municipality of Genova for this. As part of this implementation, of course, basic functionalities have been provided for IFC layers, like the identify functions, of course, as well as positioning tools available from layered settings that allows you to change the position of your IFC model in the map, okay? In the future, probably we will provide further enhancement on this in order to control all of these aspects directly interacting with the map, with the map. But at the moment, it is doable only from layered settings where there is a special control panel for this with fields for this purpose. I mean, to change, rotate, and translate the ISC feature. As part of this work, also other options for the styling of 3D models have been provided, especially for translating 3D models on X and Y axis, okay? As previously, only the Z-axis rotation was present. Now, we have seen lots of new features and enhancement for the 3D, but I mean, as usual, lots of features requests come to MapStore over time, and for these, for the first quarters of this year, we have worked to effectively to coordinate all of them. That wasn't an easy task indeed. As a result of this, also the attribute table and the filter layer tools have been involved. So as usual, the goal is to provide a wide range support for geospatial functionalities to help users in many contexts, okay? In this case, as you can see here, there is the improved date-time filtering capabilities, which means that we have included in both layer filter and attribute table tool the ability to manage time ranges. Okay, so create filters and respectively quick filters in attribute table to manage time ranges. Okay, and basically being able to effectively manage them, including also the ability to have the ability to select quick date time ranges, of course. So you can manually configure them, start time and then time from the usual date picker. But you can effectively select automatically. There are a few options available, okay, to set up a specific time range from now, this week, now, 30 days from now, and so on. Okay, okay. So this is totally configurable from the application configuration file, as well as from from application context. So in the application context wizard, where you are always able to configure your plugins directly from the administrative UI. The time range filtering capabilities have been included also for the attribute table quick filter. Same function, same date picker, where you can effectively, select start and then time. And we have also, with the aim to improve the user experience on this and make it more intuitive, we have decided to include also a specific selector for the operator, okay, for the quick filter. Also for this, we thank the municipality of Genoa. This list of new announcements and features is not ended, of course. And as you can imagine, we cannot miss to mention the search tool, which is one of the most relevant tools in MapStore, of course, because it helps on finding locations, features, and so on. There is a possibility to, as you probably already know, at least once is already using MapStore, to configure directly from UI. There is a wizard to configure the search service, and configuring various kind of search services coming from WFS, okay, available endpoints. And in 2024-01, we have effectively included also, the ability to directly select what you want to use. While previously, when more than one, more search services were configured, there was only the possibility to configure the priority, okay, and so the ones with higher priority on top, to have the ones with higher priority on top of the list, for example, in a descending order, in order of priority. At the moment, it is still working as it is, but now we have enhanced the tool in order to, as you can see from the slide, to directly select the one you want to use. Okay, and we have also included a new search option in order to, to enrich the user experience in using the search by coordinates, in order to use different kind of coordinate reference system instead of the usual WGS84 as before. The 2024-01 version brings also further enhancements on the support of cog layers, for which kind of styling capabilities, let's say, have been included in this series. We recall that the tool, anyway, is still not active by default, as we consider it still in an experimental mode. So feel free to check it out from the MapStore online documentation to have a try. Here, we have started including the cloud optimized GeoTIFF support, layered support from 2023 series, if I remember correctly, or the second measure of 2024. I'm sorry, I don't remember at the moment, but here in 2024-01, we have provided basically further enhancements, okay, for improving performances and improving the persistence of, which means providing the persistence of cog layers metadata to improve performances, okay? In that particular slide, we see how we have implemented the multi-band color mapping for cloud optimized GeoTIFFs, where there is in the style editor, where from the layered settings, where usually there is a style editor. there are effectively some kind of styling options for managing channels and value ranges. Okay, so min, max for each band and so on. So this is basically the result you can achieve with this. Other tools have been included. In particular here, further enhancements have been provided also for other powerful tools like as the longitudinal profile is, to provide additional capabilities. We remind that this is the longitudinal profile that is aimed at calculating the longitudinal profile over a digital elevation model or the digital elevation model, basically a DTM, DSM. Is working on top of the official GeoServer community model we have implemented for this purpose. This is how the tool looks like in a MapStore viewer, so that you can activate it from the side panel. There is a menu that you can use in order to manage how the path on which the profile should be generated. So you can draw directly a line on the map. You can load a GeoJSON file, for example, including that path, or you can use, and that's, something I think is really useful, to use a feature of another layer, on map, in order to establish what should be the path on which to calculate the profile. In this case, for example, the profile is generated on a digital elevation model over a river, basically a feature representing a river in the United States. From the setting panel, it is possible to select different profiles. In this case, the SFDEM layers, the default one from GeoServer has been used for this quick example. You can use you can set up the resolution of your path in meter and other kind of simple settings. What has been included in 2024-01 especially is more options for more export options. Okay, so the ability to export in GeoJSON, the XF, for example. For what concerns the geoprocessing tool, it is now possible to use vector layers coming from a process execution as an input for a second process, for example, like using the generated buffer for calculating the intersection with another layer, for example. Okay, so the tool workflow has been enhanced for this purpose, and of course we have provided some hardening in the tool itself to provide better feedback to the user, to end users, in case of failures and whatever. Of course, also for this, also in this case, the advanced style editor the visual style editor can be used in order to style the output of your geoprocessing tool. So you can generate a buffer layer. So you can calculate a buffer. There is a new buffer layer, a new buffer vector layer on map, so that you can open as usual. As for the other layer, the layer settings, and manage the style. One other, that's another addition we have included in 2024-01. That's a result of, as a result of wanting to enrich the 3D functionalities, and in particular the 360 imagery support in MapStore. At the beginning of 2024, a refactor or effectively of the MapStore Street View tool has been provided to enrich its configurability and finally make it more extensible through the support of different providers. this prepared basically the terrain also for, of course, for future evolutions aimed at including the support for further providers like Mapillary, for example. And a special thanks to the municipality of Florence goes for this. The Cyclomedia Street Smart API integration is effectively what we have done in order to provide an alternative Street View tool provider. I mean, an alternative provider for the Street View tool. Okay. There is, of course, there is still, of course, the previous one based on Google Street View, of course. So there is two possible provider available that can be configured from the plugin configuration effectively, as usual, from configuration file or from application context wizard. Okay, so Google and Cyclomedia. Of course, the Cyclomedia viewer brings different kind of options. Really interesting, of course. Feel free to check it out from our online documentation in order to also, I mean, reach more information involving the Cyclomedia viewer functionalities, and in particular, the functions and functionalities it offers within the toolbar in the viewer. Okay. Last but not the least, for 2024-01 are many. Is what we have done to provide many Java dependency and security improvements for the backend here. Okay, so we have effectively updated the printing model, so switching to the Mapfish print v2 dependency, so which is requiring at the moment the Java 11 to be used if you want the MapStore 2021 with the printing tool enabled. Of course, many security updates and dependency updates in general have been provided, and some cleanup in the middle, of course. We have in mind to provide further updates and basically to do more work also for future releases. Now, I would like to provide you in the last few minutes some taste, some anticipation, of what we are going to release in 2024-02 next days. So in 2024-02, you will find really, an enriched, interoperability with ArcGIS servers. So WMS endpoints and REST APIs, for which all basic functionalities have been provided. So the ability to load ArcGIS layers from data points, from these endpoints from using the catalog tool as usual. Identify function have been also preserved for these layers, for these layer types, and there is the legend, the legend available. All of these interacting with the ArcGIS servers API and so on. So there is effectively a dedicated catalog source type for this. And you can always manage layered settings for this in order to manage the opacity and the, displaying option, and like, for example, also the scale visibility limits and so on. An interesting addition you will find on 2024-02 is the support, an enriched support for the identify responses, which is providing the ability to use free marker templates usually used for WMS identify responses, also for WFS layers. So this means that you can have effectively, you are able to reuse the same free market template you have configured on the GeoServer side for WMS layers, also for WFS. So this way you can ensure the same look and feel, I mean, the same aspects for all identified responses coming from your GeoServer. This is working, of course, on top of a GeoServer community model we have implemented for this purpose, which is requiring to use, I mean, that is available starting from, to make it simple, GeoServer 2.23.2 version. So what we are seeing here is a new experimental function we have decided to include. That's not enabled by default, and it will remain like this until experimental, but you can always try it. I mean, it can be enabled via configuration, so feel free to check it out, the plugin documentation, I mean, to see how to configure it. And there are, of course, a user guide for this. Anyway, what does this? I mean, this is a really interesting enhancement we are still working on for improving it at the beginning. I mean, the next year for the next probably major release, and which is effectively allowing you to make the layer legend interactive. Okay, this is basic, of course, on the get legend graphics support and requires GeoServer. Get legend graphics support in JSON format and requires the GeoServer for this. So this is an important requirement to take into account. But doing this, you can effectively, starting from layer settings, to enable the interactive legend, and having then the possibility to filter the layer itself by clicking on various rules. If you have clicking on rules of styling rules, for example, if you have a classified style, sorry. Okay, so you have a classified style, you enable the interactive legend, and you can click on each rule in order to filter the layer accordingly. So this is really, really useful. Of course, I remind that this is experimental for the 2024-02 series. What we have done in addition, and it is quite important, at least for certain environments, okay, where out integration is needed for MapStore, and for this reason we have decided to, we have implemented effectively an improvement, which is a result of a kind of refactoring we have done also on the backend side for supporting the OpenID Connect standard, and I mean, for which we have effectively implemented a new dedicated client, okay, which is allowing us to generalize a little bit and provide some hardening on the previous support, on the existing support. And at the same time, we have also included the integration to other providers like Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Okay, so effectively, depending on how you decide to configure MapStore, you can have multiple way to authenticate to MapStore. So what's in plan for 2025-01 finally? That could be interesting, at least for someone. I mean, that's what we are really excited to work on, which is effectively aimed at providing a complete homepage reskin. Okay, so that's something have in plan for a long time. I mean, but something we have finally finally make concrete in the next month, during the next month. So the available to, completely reskin effectively the homepage of MapStore by providing many new and powerful functionalities to make the homepage more useful, improve the user experience, and the interaction with end users. Okay, so the ability to, introducing, for example, new concepts, so many new options for filtering resources. So, for example, previous ability to filter by context are of course available, but we will have, of course, other kind of options for searching my resources, for example, so resources I have created, favorites resources. So this new kind of concept we have included together with, other facets beside in a filter panel to properly filter the MapStore catalog depending on your needs. Okay, if you want to visualize only maps, only geostories, only context, and so on. If you want to filter contents by group or by tags, so that's another thing we will include in order to provide kind of in order to better organize contents within MapStore. Okay, this is a result of a work we want to do for improving the integration between MapStore and GeoNode, of course. Centralizing the on-page management on the MapStore side by effectively migrating the logic from the MapStore GeoNode client into MapStore. Okay, this is a part of this is something part of a bigger work. Okay, but really interesting and useful in order to improve the integration, but not only the integration, but also the usability in general and the maintenance aspects between the two projects, of course. There will be specific options for managing the visualization aspects, of contents, of maps, dashboards, and of MapStore resources in general. So having the grid mode, list mode, of course, the possibility to manage other kind of metadata, as you can see from the side panel here, which that opens as soon as you click on an item in the list, of course. The informations and metadata related to a map will be organized like this. Of course, this is a draft, as you can see from the slide, but just to give you a taste, of what we have in mind to do, as well as a specific order by options, okay, as usual, in order to better manage, provide the ability to better manage contents in the MapStore catalog. As I have anticipated before, we are effectively working, this is something still in progress, for integrating, another provider for the Street View tool based on Mapilla Reviewer, okay? At the moment, it is something available only on Master, on MapStore Master, and currently under development. The aim here is to provide for the next measure in quarter number 2 of the next measure release, also to finalize the support for this by providing also by completing also the implementation, including the support for the standard Mapillary provider that is still in progress. This is, of course, an addition in respect to the other implementation we have provided for the 2024-01 series. CesiumJS, which is involving cyclomedia, as we have seen before. Of course, this is working on both 2D and 3D mode. And the overall goal is to, of course, enrich the 300, the 360 imagery support in MapStore. For the last part, the second part of the next year, we are expecting also to provide further performance improvements in loading script bundles. Generally speaking, in loading MapStore pages, okay, in loading the MapStore application, and MapStore application context in general. So reducing the size of bundle, improving the way and strategies. Script bundles are loaded, and we are also already started the process to clean up unneeded dependencies or obsolete tools and components to finally deprecate them. So we are working also on that side. To provide lazy loading strategies of dependencies, and to enrich. What we have already started. A process we have already started since 2022-02, if I remember well. Okay. As usual, you can reach other resources online. There is always the demo site, the user and developers documentation available online, and we keep it updated over time across different releases. There is the GitHub repository where you can find all information and release note for every MapStore release we deliver, and YouTube videos, and always you can stay in touch with us using the mailing list. I think I have done.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tobia. And thanks to you and Stefano and the team for all the work you've done on MapStore, as well as the customers that have helped us out, like City of Genova, on the 3D development side especially. It's exciting stuff. I believe we do have some questions here. Q&A section. And again, if you have questions, feel free to post those on the Q&A tab, and we'll just go through these one by one. Itai Goldman, what was that, Stefano?
No, if you want, because some of these need some context, because it was done in the initial part of the talk. So yeah. I will add some reference if it's needed. Okay,
cool. Yeah, and if there's if we need to take some of these questions offline and address them after the webinar, if that's something we can do as well. So Itai Goldman's first question is, do you have any plans to add RTL language support?
This one was done during the presentation of the table of content. So if we want to have if we have planned for the right to left one, to be able to have sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, the right to left on the table of content. There are plans of these.
Not at the moment. Not at the moment, unfortunately, not at the moment. But we expect further announcement during for next versions, for sure. But that's something we will better handle at the beginning of the next year, probably.
Okay. And as always, if you have feature capability requests, communicate those to us, or through the mapstore.org. Is that the best way, Tobia? If people have the best way to communicate feature and capability requests for MapStore?
Well, at the moment we are also. Usually people can stay in touch with us using mailing lists. information about mailing list is reachable from the GitHub repository. In the README file, there are information about this and the related references. We are also these days we are also reviewing the contributing rules in general on MapStore. So there will be some news, I mean, also on that side really soon. And probably we will communicate also in the mailing list about this.
All right, groovy. Thank you. Next question is, can you add managers coordinate type?
This one was done during the annotation session. I think here we are talking about a military grade reference system. And at the moment in the annotation, it's possible to use the default coordinates or the aeronautical one. So there's no such a support right now for this in MapStore for annotation.
Yeah,
okay.
I confirm.
No such support for this. Okay.
At the moment.
Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Okay.
But I mean, usually we are open to further inclusions. I mean, to further enhancements and a new feature possibly for next releases. It is something for sure doable.
Okay. And another thing I just want to mention is oftentimes the way that substantial new capabilities get added to open source products is through funding. So if you're part of an organization or an agency that has an important feature request or capability that's not already, not already exist in MapStore or other products, we're happy to work with you on getting those new features funded. And what that does is it allows us to build in the new capabilities and we release that as part of the standard distribution, so everybody can benefit from those features. So this just something to keep in mind. It's not always how it works, but it's the fastest way to get things built. Next question is it possible to consume a service like WMS or WFS from GeoServer and assign symbology and filters directly from MapStore?
Well, yes. I mean, as we have seen also during this webinar, users can use the visual style editor of MapStore for managing styles of layers published from a WMS or WFS endpoint. So the usual workflow is to use the catalog tool in order to, connect a WMS or a WFS source to MapStore and fetch content from it, okay, adding layer to the map. And no matter what is the layer type, you can always open the layer settings and use the style editor tool in order to manage the style. The only thing I would like to point out now is about the WMS layers. For this, by default at least, and I mean, there are specific references about this in our online documentation if you want to learn more in detail about this. But by default, for the WMS layers, you need administrative rights for editing layer styles as the MapStore Visual Style Editor is interacting directly with GeoServer REST APIs, which are effectively, closed. But it is something that can be configured directly on the GeoServer administrative UI, with some attention, of course. But this is the default setup, effectively, on which the REST API are open only to administrative people. And that's the reason why you need to be authenticated. You need to have an user integration tier, configured in order to centralize the authentication of between MapStore and GeoServer and make it and make GeoServer aware of who is performing the request. There is a mention of this, a specific section of our online documentation, which is effectively describing how to set up this integration between MapStore and GeoServer. As soon as you have this in place, you can authenticate to MapStore and be recognized by GeoServer as an administrator if you have logged in as administrator and use the Visual Style Editor. For WFS is different because, of course, the styling management is entirely on the client side.
Right, excellent. And if you're missing the answers to this, keep in mind this webinar is being recorded, and we'll have it up on the YouTube channel. And if you have any follow-up questions, let us know. Zaid asks, can you add geotagging in this part? And I'm not sure exactly what part of the webinar.
Yeah, this one was referred to the IFC GLB model style. It's not possible adding metadata in that case. What was showing Tobia was the style editor where you can use a GLB model, so a 3D model to represent a point. Or in case of IFC, you are importing directly the IFC and visualizing it. You are not modifying the content, adding new metadata to those assets. So at the moment, there's no this option available.
Okay. The next question is, I'd like to ask about the experimental plugin, if this includes the functionality of using the get map with env for dynamic style. And then there's a link that's provided.
Here probably it's referred to the experimental as the interactive legend. And the interactive legend right now at the moment just read the filter content of the let's say the style rule and apply that as CQL filter then with the get map. So at the moment it's not supported the dynamic style for it. Toby, I don't know if they are planning for
not at the moment. If I remember well, I'm sorry, but there are many functionalities here in MapStore. But yeah, we have a support for an env for languages. If you remember, Stefano, for what we have done for the Bozen municipality for managing localization on GeoServer styles. That's the only place in MapStore where we are supporting this at the moment. Of course, an improvement is possible. I mean, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And thanks for the question. Next question is MapStore the map interface for GeoNode?
Well, yes. I mean, MapStore is used as a framework as a WebGIS solution for GeoNode. So in GeoNode has a specific client. I mean, MapStore GeoNode client. That's the name of this dependency on which GeoNode is based in order to embed the MapStore WebGIS within GeoNode pages. So effectively, what GeoNode is providing is a MapStore WebGIS completely. I don't know if you want to add something more, Stefan, about this.
Yeah, that's it. The main difference is the backend used in one side and the other side. So
of course.
they are two different implementations. So you can find some differences in the functionalities, and that's due to the nature of the different backends and workflows. But at the end, in the front end, it's using the same components provided by MapStore.
Yeah, of course. This is also a result of the work we have done over time in order to be able to build specific MapStore downstream project for different purposes. Okay, in order to be able to make it modular as needed, depending on the purpose. And that's basically one relevant case is the use we are doing of MapStore within GeoNode, where effectively it is included, but the backend part is completely different.
Right, very good. Milliam asks, what about time series identification tools and represented as a time series chart, for example, like Threads Data Server or TDS?
Can add subgroups and its users.
Oh, sorry, I see that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there is that one. I think this is referring to the user management in MapStore. I don't know if you think the same, if you understand the same, Stefano.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, there are different ways MapStore can be configured in order to manage users. One of them is to configure it to integrate with Active Directory or LDAP, okay? And in this case, it can be it can be configured in order to fetch also users within or groups as soon as to fetch groups information as soon as a user authenticate to MapStore. Other ways are other alternative are or can work on a similar way, depending on what we are talking about. So, for example, the OpenID Connect supports, depending on the setup, these can be managed this way. But I suggest you to this is a kind of generic question. Generally speaking, it is possible, but it depends on the usage you want to achieve with MapStore. I suggest you to check it out in the MapStore documentation, where you can learn more on how you can integrate MapStore with external authentication providers.
Right, very good. Next question is that time series identification tool question.
I think I can answer. So at the moment, the charts in MapStore and that you can see in the dashboard and inside the maps viewer are based on WFS or WPS protocols. So there's no such support at the moment for new type of protocols, but was implemented. The idea of this chart was implemented to be extended with new and ways to populate data. So at the moment, those two, the WFS, WPS1, are the ones supported by MapStore, if I remember correctly, Tobia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said WFS or WMS?
WFS and WPS processes.
WPS process. Yes.
Okay. Okay. The next question is, which do you suggest, MapStore or GeoNode or GeoOrchestra for an NSDI?
Well, this is quite generic, to be honest. It depends on what you need to achieve. What you need to do. Both GeoNode and GeoOrchestra are SDIs. which are providing their own, services, and they both they have their own capabilities, of course. So, maybe certain aspects are the same, but this doesn't mean that GeoNode is better than GeoOrchestra or the opposite. While MapStore per se is only a WebGIS viewer anyway. So it depends on what you have to do. So MapStore for sure can be installed on a system, but it needs, certain OGC or other kind of supported sources to be connected to the MapStore viewers in order to load contents in the map. And being able to create maps, geostories, dashboards, and so on, connecting, of course, for this purpose, external OGC services. So it is easy enough, if it is enough for your purpose to simply have a MapStore installation because OGC services or other kind of supported resources you want to publish are totally external, and you don't need to manage them. Maybe a simple MapStore installation is useful. Is enough. I'm sorry, but this is not the most common scenario. I have encountered in my experience. So of course, if you want to manage in general a complete SDI, there are many options available. And one can be GeoNode or GeoOrchestra, which are providing, of course, other, tiers for differently managed users and the resources and internal resources. But another one that is not less common than the other is to use a more classic SDI, like having one MapStore and one GeoServer installed in your system to communicate to each other. So it depends.
Roger that. I think that just requires some evaluation based on needs, technical requirements,
of
data
course,
type, etc.
Of course.
Thanks for the answer on that. Okay, we got time for just a couple more here. Next question is, why is chart time series no longer available in GeoNode?
I can try to answer this one. I just double check on the stable demo of GeoNode. I can see layer that contains time series with the timeline below. So if you're referring to this, it should be there, because I'm reading the charts and I'm not sure if that's what they mean. But if that's the case, it seems to work. So probably maybe it's a bug in some specific version, or because I just double checked it now and seems to work on this stable demo GeoNode.
Right, cool. That's good. It's there somewhere. And if you can't find it, let us know and we'll try to help.
Yeah, if there is a bug that it could be reproduced, feel free to open also an issue on GeoNode so we can reproduce the bug and
maybe open a thread in the mailing list. To discuss it.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Next question, is it possible to import widget chart into a custom plugin? Are there special parameters needed?
I think this question is mostly for you, Stefano.
Yeah, I think it's something related to development. If I remember correctly, widget chart is a React component inside MapStore. So usually we are adding a JS doc on top of this component. So if you are developing, you're able to understand what is inside, but maybe this one is missing those parts. What you should receive are the props that are implemented there, but maybe are not clear. So here needs to be checked inside the code to understand, because spatial params needed, I don't think so. Maybe there are some props that are mandatory to make this visible. What can I suggest is to take a look to the, if you are developing it, take a look to the current MapStore state. And inside the widget section, so the object, the state object inside the widget key, you can find how the chart widget is implemented. Usually what we are doing is pass the widget configuration that you find inside the charts to these components. So those should contain the information needed for a widget itself. But in case if there aren't already a question on the mailing list, you could try to open there and we can take a look on that.
Right, very good. Thanks, Stefano. All right, next question. When a large number of point annotations are added, they appear in the map in an unstable manner, flickering. It sounds like a pretty specific issue.
Yeah, it seems an issue that we found also in the past. That was this is related to the terrain. So maybe double check if with the latest was fixed, because we're working on something similar. If not, also for this, I think I made a list on the, or if it's a issue that could be replicated with the steps, would be helpful to do an investigation on this.
And then the final question, why is MapStore not support base map, HTTP example?
It should be.
Okay.
It should be. I remember
Should
also
be.
for the minus y. Also for that there was.
That should be a fix we
Yeah,
have done.
few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. If I remember well, there is a fix ready to be released with the 2024-02 version for this. It's supporting
So
this.
even if in this case with the latest release will not work, same for this before. So we can double check and fix it.
Yeah, maybe report it again in the mailing list. I don't know if we have done already this.
Yeah, it was reported in a mailing list for sure, and there was a fix done.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
That's it for the Q&A period. Thanks again to everyone for attending. Thank you very much to Tobia and Stefano for all the work and for the webinar. These are very valuable. Again, this webinar is recorded. It's on the GeoSolutions group YouTube channel, or it will be posted up there in the next couple of days. And as always, if you have any questions, post those to the community page, or you can always contact info@geosolutionsgroup.com. Again, we really appreciate your time and your use of MapStore, excuse me, and the other open source solutions that we support. And contact us anytime if we can ever be of any assistance. So with that, we can close it out. Any last words, Tobia or Stefano?
No, just to thank you for attending this call and for your part, of course, at the beginning.
Thank you, Tobia.
Fantastic.
And everybody.
Right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.